I'm Michael Kensek with Kensek Landscape Specialist out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am a hardscaper.
What's happening, hardscapers? This is episode 251 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, we have another I Am a Hardscaper episode where we sit down one-on-one with a hardscape business owner and do a deep dive into their business. And today we're joined by Michael from Kensek Landscape Specialists, and we get into his business shortly here. But before that, we want to thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. And hey, coming into this new season, if you're looking for a software to help you streamline processes in your business, the How to Hardscape headquarters software could be that solution for you. You can create a company-wide budget, multiple of them for different divisions, and be able to estimate from that budget to ensure that you're recovering the overhead and equipment expenses that you need to recoup in your estimates going out that door. We got time tracking, we've got scheduling, we now have our courses rolled into the software. So we've got our Interlock and Conquered Pavement course, our Segmental Retaining Wall course, both with tests at the end that you can assign within the software to your employees and see their progress through those courses. There's other employee management tools like allowing your employees to book time off right through the app, so you've got it written in written form and documented. We've got reports and a lot of cool things coming in the near future, as well as a big milestone. Our app is going to be released very shortly here. And when it is, our pricing is going to increase for new users. Existing users will not experience our feature increase in price. And as we hit new milestones, as we add more features, that price is only going to increase. So if you're looking to get signed up and locked in at a certain tier, now's your time to get locked in. Shoot me a message at How to Hardscape on Instagram if you want to book a demo, or simply go to members.howtohardscape.com and book your demo there. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode with Michael from Kensek Landscape Specialists. All right, Michael, let's get to know a little bit more about you yourself, how you got started in this industry. Give our audience a little bit of a background as to wherever you want to start. And I'm sure I'm going to have lots of follow-up questions for you. So where did you get started in the industry here?
Yeah, I'd have to go back to my dad. He worked down Allegheny Ludlam, and he used to cut grass on the side. And I always asked him, like, Dad, I was like, when can I come with you? When can I help? When can I make some money? And that was about 8 years old when that happened. And my dad always told me, he's like, the day that you can start the mower yourself without me helping is the day that you can help me. So I remember going on the side of the yard, and I took that mower, and he wasn't looking, and I fired that thing up. The very next day, I was like, Dad, let's go to work. I think that was the beginning of it. And I started my own company when I was 15 years old. My dad couldn't do he had back surgery, so he couldn't do that type of work anymore. And then I turned 18, and my dad was like, you're going to college. I was like, Dad, but I already have a business. Like, I don't need to go to college. Like, I'm good to go. And I think I had around 80 lawn care clients at that time. And I also did like your general, like mulching, trimming bushes, stuff like that. And it's crazy to think back that we don't even do any of that stuff anymore. But when I was 18, I ended up going to college, but I had a business to run still too. So I did night school. I actually have a degree in horticulture and landscape design. And then after that, well, when I was in college, I had to go do an internship, and I worked for one of the local companies in the Pittsburgh area. I actually just ran into him not too long ago, and we had a pretty good catch-up period there. But I worked there for about 6 months, gained some knowledge, and then when I left there, I never looked back to lawn care. It was strictly hardscape and hardscape only.
That's interesting. So was that based on like your experience working at that company that you decided to kind of go towards like specifically hardscaping?
Yes and no. Like I started dabbling a little bit with my cousins in the hardscape industry as well. So he's 10 years older than me. So when I was 18, I started getting into a couple walls here and there. He's like, hey, I got a couple walls that we can go do. So then I learned from him, and then that wet my whistle a little bit. Like I was craving for more. And then going to college and then working with the other company, like that's what I knew what I wanted to do. And And then like my cousins, he's recently, I think he just took a union carpenter's job instead, but he did it for 25 years. Um, then my grandfather also was a art teacher and art director. So between my dad and my pap, like I remember even when I was like 3, 4 years old, like he'd babysit me. He'd throw me in his basement. He had a whole studio down there. He's like, start drawing. So like I was doing mechanical engineering drawings. I was doing all types of crazy stuff. And I think it just evolved into what it is today.
That's really interesting. So when it comes to let's go back to lawn mowing and making that decision to get into college, and getting that horticultural degree, did you know that when your dad said time to go to college that um, you really wanted to stay within the industry and that's why you went to horticultural, or what was the decision at that time to go to college and choosing which program to go to?
Well, I felt like I was a step ahead of everybody else already. Like nobody really knew what they wanted to do. They didn't have a clue what major they wanted to do. And I already had the groundwork laid out. So just might as well spring forward and keep going with it. And just that too. I mean, that was 20 years ago now. In the industry, there wasn't many guys that had degrees. So I thought by going to college for it, it gave me an upper hand on any of the competition then. So it did help. A lot of people were too like, oh, this 21-year-old, he has a degree, blah blah blah. He's talking all about this stuff, and a lot of clients didn't take me serious. So now that like I have all the years under my belt, it's totally different. Like them clients, I still actually some of them I still talk to from 20 years ago. So it's kind of a cool feeling to have that with them. Um, yeah, it's definitely it changed the game when I went to college. I think that gave me the direction that I needed to go at, and it was getting rid of lawn care.
Gotcha. So yeah, really interesting overcoming hurdles you talked about and being taken seriously. Sorry, I want to ask you, how did you overcome the hurdle of being taken seriously? Being a 21-year-old trying to sign up contracts. What did you do to be able to get over that hurdle of these clients looking at you and seeing a 21-year-old wanting to do a project for them?
I mean, we didn't have social media back then like we do today. So, like, I didn't have the opportunity to be like, hey, go check out my page or whatnot. So, like, what I would literally do is I was like, here's the address, here's the client's name, go to the house and talk to them and view the project and ask how the experience was and if I truly did know my stuff or not. I think that helped. And I mean, even back then, they really didn't have smartphones. They had the old school flip phones. So you still had to take pictures, but they were in a 1 by 1 screen. So it was hard to view the client that way. And I think just saying the same things over and over again, like your story never changed. So like if it would have changed, then like, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So being confident in yourself at 21 years old, it helped gain all the trust of the clients and to move forward with the project.
Okay, so confidence. When I was 21, I didn't have much of that. And that would have been difficult for me to try to sell projects at that age. So, was it going to get a degree for horticulture that helped you gain that confidence? Was it the experience of being 15 and going out and having 80 clients? What was it that built that confidence? Or all the above plus some? Like, how did you have that confidence to go out and do that?
I think it's the drive. Um, like not many people have that anymore. So like the willingness to be able to create and make yourself better every single day. I think that's what pushed me to not stop and to keep pursuing those clients. Um, it was definitely difficult to do that. And it's just to get out of your shell. Like I remember in college, I got to take this class. It was called oral communications, and it was basically stand up in front of everybody and talk. And I'm like, man, I'm going to hate this class. But I think that also cracked my shell even more. I mean, even in high school, like I wasn't the one like to stand out. I wasn't the loud mouth of the group or anything like that. I was kind of always in the background of everything. So it was difficult to crack that. But I knew it was only going to better myself and better my company and the potential of where I'm at now. I would have never been here if I didn't crack that.
Did you have to take that oral communication course, or was that not mandatory? Was that just chosen?
No, that was mandatory, and I had to pass it.
Uh, that's a good note there. So looking back at going to college, getting your degree, would you ever have done it differently? Like if you could go back, would you ever have said like, no, I'm gonna stick with these 80 clients and grow my business from here? Or are you happy that you did actually complete college and go that route?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I enjoyed my college. Like I did learn a lot of things, but a lot of it I already learned from just experience. So they can't teach you out of a book what you can and learn in the field. So the hands-on aspect, like any class that we had that was hands-on, I absolutely loved. Like our herbaceous ID, woody ID, like any of the plant IDs was amazing. Turf grass culture, landscape construction, all of those were hands-on. Um, like botany wasn't. So like there's a few aspects of the degree that I don't use. Um, and I hate to say this, but it's almost like in today's world, like you really don't need a degree to do this. It's just the pure experience, like the time that you invested in to learn how to do this. I mean, trade shows, seminars, all that stuff, and physically just doing it. That's where you're going to learn. The book work is not really doesn't get you anywhere, I guess.
Okay, so then the internship was that valuable? More valuable than the classroom experience?
Absolutely, because those jobs that I was a foreman on a crew that I really shouldn't have been a foreman, but I could talk. I knew how to do my to do build the walls, do the patios, do the outdoor kitchen stuff like that. So that definitely helped. And I also wanted to see because I was starting to get into a little bit of hardscape in there, a couple patios there, a couple walls. I wanted to see how the bigger projects got done. Where do you start? How the logistics work? I really didn't get to see pricing or anything like that, but I got to see how you coordinate everything, how it's supposed to go in, what to do, what not to do. So the internship, basically, I got paid to learn from somebody else's mistakes or gains from it. So it was nice to go through that aspect of it and learn that way. And I think that was the coolest part of that internship is I got paid to learn.
Okay, so what are some aspects of that business, looking back, that you were able to carry forward into building your own business today? And then on the inverse of that, what are some aspects of that company that you're happy to have left behind and not introduced into your business today? Starting with like, what are some things that you looked at that business and you're like, yes, this is going to be part of my business in the future, or like that you look at in your business right now and you're like, yeah, it kind of reflects on my experience in that internship that I carried forward.
I would say the biggest thing that I learned from that company was the style. Um, I think how I do my work now, it's distinctive. You could tell that it's mine. And then back then, you could tell that that was that specific company. Like you knew like the material, the way their designs were, all of that. So I think being distinctive in an industry and standing out on clear cut work, like crazy cuts, crazy designs, I think that's what separates everybody from anybody else. Um, it builds a name for you. And that company still to this day is very, very well known in the Pittsburgh area. And like I said, I ran into him at one of the Unilock shows the other day, and we probably caught up for 45 minutes, half hour, something like that. He's still going strong. He's still doing his stuff. He actually evolved into three other companies within that one company. So they do like concrete surfacing, like crazy boulder work. Um, I think that was one of the biggest things I learned from him too, was you always have to evolve too. So like the trends change. So when he started those other companies, he was following suit what people wanted. And as far as the things that I didn't take from there that were bad, I mean, there really wasn't anything. Um, I really don't. I mean, the hiring process, that's just everyone's issues. Like we ran through guys in those 6 months that I was there, the guys not showing up. So I mean, it's hard to do your the diligence on potential employees. Like they can say they do certain things, and then you put them on a job site, and like, well, I don't know what that is, or I don't know how to do that. So I think from that aspect of it, even from my interview when I had with him, like he drilled me on questions, like how's your math? I'm like, why are you asking me about math right now? But in the hardscape industry, you use math every single day. So looking back on it now, like I mean, that's another positive that came from there is learning how to do the math of it, the calculations, and there's a lot to it. Like it's just not 1 + 1 = 2. Like you can't do that. Like there's the square footage, the circumferences, there's a lot. So I did learn a lot from there. And the only reason why I left there, I probably would have ended up staying for a long time, is when I graduated college, I didn't get that raise.
Ooh.
I felt like once you graduated, you should get even just a buck. Give me $1. I probably would have stuck around a little bit longer. But I like the learning curve of that whole entire process. I'd have to say that was the best thing that came out of that company.
I guess that's yeah something that you can take away that's like you could implement into your business today, where like identifying that talent and those people that would be great people in your business and being able to treat them all with that raise, right? Because you
Yeah,
would have kept
yeah.
you and you would have been a great asset to that business.
And I'm actually dealing with that right now as we speak.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, and another thing that I did learn from that company too is supplying your guys with the proper tools to get the job done faster, cleaner, or whatever. Don't be afraid to buy it. Just go get it. Like we just purchased a uni lift, I think last Thursday. I feel like that's going to change the game. I mean, there's times my back, my arms, everything hurts, and we just laid 800 square foot, and we killed ourselves on it. So with a uni lift, you can do 2,000 to 4,000 square foot a day. So that eliminates the back pain, the neck pain, the guys coming calling off the next day and them complaining about it. So that company there, like if we needed a dump trailer, we had it within a week. We needed a bigger skid loader, we would have it or rented it or whatever. So if guys are telling you like, hey, we this I think it's really beneficial, like listen to them. So that was one thing that they did a lot too. Like we had endless trucks, like we had little trucks, big trucks, medium trucks, dump trailers, equipment trailers, we had everything there. So, and that made our lives easier. So we were happy to stay there and work.
So moving on to starting your own business. When you started your own business, where were you getting that initial clientele into your business? Were you able to reach out to your previous lawn maintenance clients and ask them if they're looking for these types of projects that you were moving towards? Or where did you start to get that ball rolling where you build that portfolio that you can then show to clients that you can do the work?
Well, my dad pretty much had the ball rolling for me already. I think we had like at the time we had like 15 or 20 lawn care clients. And then usually whenever you're in a neighborhood, Mrs. Thompson over there, she's like, I need my grass cut too. So it was just word of mouth and then people seeing you. And that was when I was 15. So actually when I was 15, I couldn't drive yet. So my buddy up the road, we went to school together. I had him, I was like, hey, he's like, can you drive my dad's truck? And we can go cut grass. So I actually rented my truck off, my dad's truck off, and I threw a couple bucks here and there, and I paid my buddy to drive us around. We cut grass, and then shortly after that, ended up buying my own truck, and we just went full blown there. And back then too, like I still believe in this. I believe your image is everything. The way you represent yourself, the way you're dressed, the way you groom your body, your haircuts, the way your trucks look, the decals. It's you present yourself prestigious like that. That's how you're going to do your work too. So I think back then I lived through that. So I always had my trucks clean. The wheels were all polished up, armor all on the tires. We all had shirts. It was. I had to make a legit business when I was 15. So like you had to look like that too. So you had to represent what you were trying to sell.
Definitely great advice with that. And then as you get that ball rolling and coming into where you are today in business, where are your leads coming from? How has that changed from the beginning to where you are now?
Because back then was just strictly word of mouth. And I would have to say now it's strictly word of mouth. I don't spend a dime on advertising. I mean, we have trucks, trailers. Everything's all decaled. They're wrapped. We have polo shirts, we have hats, we have beanies. I mean, that advertisement. We're heavy on social media. I haven't been real heavy on it lately, just because there's so much going on. Um, but Facebook, Instagram, the community pages on Facebook, posting there. I actually haven't done that in about 3 years. It's just been directly word of mouth. And then people like I've had this my last client I just met today. He goes, "Oh yeah, I saw your truck over in Cranberry." So like, and he was about 30 miles away from Cranberry. So just seeing vehicles that are clean and nice and your big logos, that's what led me to keep getting the current clientele. um, I do want to dabble with my website. My website seems to it does pull in a lot of clients. I got to work on that SEO and stuff like that a little bit more. Um, just haven't had time. The last year's been pretty crazy, so I think once I do that, it's going to pick back up. But currently, right now, we're probably 4 to 5 months being booked
That's
out,
amazing.
and I'm not trying. Yeah, so I
Nice.
just wish I had more guys so I can accommodate more clients. I'm kind of thinking this uni lift's going to bring the game up a little quicker, so we can get done with the project and get on to the next one quicker and be able to to do more builds. But I think everybody out there right now is feeling the hiring issues. It's pretty rough out there. Everybody wants to get paid big dollars, but they don't want to do anything. It's it's really tough. And all the good ones, they own their own company, or they're getting paid with benefits, 401ks. Like it's just too hard to keep up with that. So it is a tough industry right now with hiring.
Where are you at with your company right now? Like how many employees, crews, and all that that you're installing with?
Well, I literally just lost a guy this morning.
Ooh,
I was kind of a little sour this morning with it, but I just call it a hiccup. And hiccups do go away. So I put an ad out. I'm sure you saw my Instagram story. So I'm doing the right things to get the right people back in place. I have one guy he's really good. He's gonna have to step it up a little bit now. But other than that, it's me and him.
nice.
So we were a 3-man crew before,
Yeah.
and I felt like that 3-man crew, we we each knew what we were good at.
Mhm.
So we divided and conquered on everything. So I need to get that formula back, but I also want to have more employees involved this time too. So it's this year is my growth year. Like I have to grow. So
Gotcha.
it's time. Like I've been this is my 25th year in business.
Wow.
I don't have a shop. I need a shop so bad. We have 2 skateboarders, excavator, dump trailer, equipment trailer, enclosed trailer. The enclosed trailer is packed to the gills with tools and equipment and saws and everything. The house I just bought, we have 3 acres now, so like I do have a little bit of storage with the stuff, but I need to be seen more. I need to get our name out there, and just having a shop that's separated from my personal business. And I think that would allow me to have the growth that I need. I just don't want guys coming to my house, and it's going to be a nightmare if I have that. So my biggest goal this year is to find a shop. And I think once I have that shop, that's where my growth is going to kick in. I can get more guys. Like right now, I think with all the equipment that we have, we're set up to do a 2-man or to have 2 crews, but we're a 2-person operation. So like
Mhm.
I need to put all this equipment back to use again rather than just sitting here. So, but it's that's the growth that I need to happen, and hopefully it happens this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of in that same mindset where it's like you just need the people, right? The equipment's there, all the everything that you would want to kind of instill into your employees is there. It's just a matter of finding the right employees, I guess would be the right word for that.
Yeah, and that's I don't want to even say I don't want to deem it as like oh I wish I had more guys. I'd rather say that I wish I had the chance.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to put any of my success on somebody else. Like, I need that chance. And once I have that chance, I can grow from there. So like I'm all about like if you want something, go get it on your own. And my dad always taught me that. Um, no one's gonna give it to you. So I don't want to put pity on anybody else, like, oh, I blaming the guys. No, I want that chance to be very successful, to grow, to provide for the community, our state. Like it's really rewarding to be part of something like that.
Where did you get that thought process from? Did that come naturally, or was that taught to you by your father, or how did you like I've heard you say throughout this interview, things like just wanting that chance, or I forget what it was earlier. You were talking about um overcoming hurdles. You said something there that I was like, it's like a very uh mature thing to say, or thought process when you were 21, just starting out. What did you learn this kind of thought process from your dad, instilled to you growing up? Where do you get this all from?
I would say a lot of things as far as my dad goes. Like we're very much alike, but I don't want him to take this the wrong way. I'm a better version. So I got to live and learn his mistakes, and I lived and learned my own mistakes. So I think from learning from all of that stuff, like you just got to brush it off your shoulder and keep on going. Like any of the mistakes you might have made, even on any project, like if you made a bad cut or whatever, like you messed it, it's not square, it's fixable. It's not a big deal. So just go back, figure a way to solve that problem. There's always a solution to every single problem. And I think just from living and learning, and I'm a big quote guy. On my personal Facebook page, I'm constantly quoting people, and I don't post those just for shits and giggles. Like that meant something to me, and I want to share that message to somebody else so they can live and learn, but without actually living it. They're just learning it. So I think even just helping people too, like the last Unilock show that we went to, there was actually my rep didn't tell me this until the day of, but they filmed me talking about Yukara. And during the break, I felt like everybody was talking to me about it. So I didn't care. Like I was just trying to take a leak and get something to drink again. But I helped people. So them learning from me and someone that has lived and learned Yukara, it's a good process to go through and to be able to help several contractors and make their life easier on projects. And I'm not saying I'm going to get rewarded for it, and I don't really want to get rewarded, but I know whenever they do that project, they learned something from me. So I help them. But now I think the whole quote thing too, like it it's motivating. Like I will not post a depressed one or anything like that. It's just you have to have the right mindset and motivation to be successful, or you won't be successful. Um, there was a quote the other day that I did quote, and I don't remember it. It was something about being around negative people, and if once you leave there, you will be negative because you were around them. It's just that like the ebb and flow of it. Like it doesn't go together. Um, there was another quote that I just forgot too. But I love the quotes and the motivation you get from it. So actually, I think I have a quote. I might not be able to read it because I know there's a pretty big swear word in it.
You're good. You're good. This is
I sent it to somebody the other day that they were like down and out, and I'm like, here, dude, check this out. And it brought them up too. So I'm like, he's like, yeah, absolutely right on that. So I have to find it.
I was gonna ask you. I was just writing down a note, a quote that you have top of mind right now. As you're thinking about that, you're talking about, being around negative people. When you leave that, you become negative. Kind of like the five people that you surround yourself with are you become the average of that essentially, right? So if you're around five people that are negative, you're going to be the sixth person that's negative. Same thing with positivity and all that.
Yes. I do remember the one quote. I don't remember word for word, but what it was, It was surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Right.
And then you'll come out, you'll learn something from that. So if I'm sitting in a room where I'm the smartest man in there, I'm not in the right room. I need to be in a different room. So it's always being about learning. And that's like even the hiring process too. I'd have absolutely no problem hiring somebody that knows more than me. I would love that actually, because I can put them to pure use. Like if you can do something better than me, absolutely go for it. Let's kick ass together. So like that's a cool feeling. But those people are hard to find.
We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. Are you basing your business decisions solely on a gut feeling? If so, you may be leaving potential profits on the table. It's crucial to base these important decisions on your financials, whether you're planning to hire a new employee, add another crew, purchase equipment or vehicles, or take on more debt to support a new service line. At Cycle CPA, they not only handle bookkeeping and taxes, but they also provide guidance and advisory services tailored to the landscape and hardscape industry. Their team of specialized accountants ensures that when it comes to making the next key decision in your company, you'll have a financial partner in your corner. So visit them at cyclecpa.com, and for $200 off, mention the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode. The best thing about starting a podcast like this is I'm never the smartest person in the room. So I learn a lot just from talking to people like yourself, Michael. So I appreciate you here. Okay, so we're talking about leads. Let's talk about when a client reaches out to you. What does that kind of process look like to see whether or not a client may or may not be like a good fit for you in your business? Do you have like a pre-qualifying set of questions that you ask them? Or what does that email, phone call, text message look like to then schedule a consultation with them and go meet with them?
Yeah, so we on our website we have you have to have a description of what project you want. A budget is a requirement. I have to know what I got to work with. And I think this is stemming from COVID. Like a couple people that I've dealt with before, like I'd go to their house, measure everything up, come back home, do a free design, send them a itemized proposal, and I'd have about 6, 7 hours in my time. And like, oh, okay, thanks. We just want to know how much it was going to cost. Like, I had no intentions whatsoever of doing that project. They were just curious. So they literally wasted my time. So I'm trying not to charge for site consultations, but it's leaning more towards I'm going to have to. I know I'm going to lose a couple jobs over that, but I also know that the client is dead serious about doing the project. If they're willing to pay 100, $150 for me to come out there, take measurements, meet with them, introduce myself, go through the whole entire spill that way. But currently right now, I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. All the other companies in my area like basically refuse to do that. So there are a few that do that, but they are like super, super high end. Um, but I always try to do a phone consultation first. Like tell me what you want. Like, do you want a patio, freestanding walls, boulder work, water features, outdoor lighting, landscape? Do you want the whole package? And then after I talk to him for about a half hour, I kind of just like throw out a number. It's a range. Like I'll say 60 to 80,000. And if I'm within your range of that, we can proceed to come out and do a free on-site consultation and go from there. I do charge for designs now. I learned my lesson on that one several times. We have a minimum. It's a minimum of $1,000 for a proposal or a design. I'm sorry, and that design fee is fully refundable if we get the job. So I don't mind. I don't want to say waste my time because that time sold me that job. So it was worth it in that aspect
Right.
to do that. But you could also kind of roll that back into the proposal too if you really wanted to. But most clients, if they ask for design, they're pretty much dead serious about doing. They're already 99% in. They just want to be able to visualize what they're going to get. And that's the great thing about designs, like to a T. Like you can design it, install it, and look back at the design. It's the exact same thing. So success rate, sell rate on design jobs, they're 100% closed. So if I can get that phone call out of the way and give him that range and actually get on site and then sell a design, I'm doing the project. So that's seems to be the best way to deal with all this right now. Um, but it's tough with the phone calls. Like you get so many and you can't return them all. I had someone that wanted me just to reseed their backyard. Well, can I do that? Yeah. Right now I don't have the time. I don't have the guys. I don't have that. So, and it sucks to do this, but I don't even return their phone call. So then you kind of get a bad name for that. It's not that I don't want to do the work. I don't have time for something like that. So it's tough to weed through everything and call the right clients back because that turf job could have turned into a patio with a pergola and an outdoor kitchen, but it's all how you leave that voicemail. And even in my voicemail, I was like, "Hello, Michael Kensek, blah 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 blah. Please leave your name, number, a detailed description of your project." I don't say a budget right there, but just the detailed project, and that will get a return call. Then I can discuss a budget when it's a live communication.
Is there a specific reason why in that voicemail you don't ask for the budget? Do you feel it's better to leave that for like an actual conversation to get that budget out of them? Are you trying to build rapport somewhat to get that budget out of them afterwards?
Yeah, I feel like asking for a budget right off the bat, like that's just it's bad juju. Like you don't want to go that route. And I wouldn't be surprised if people just hung up the phone whenever they heard, "Hey, what's your budget? I'm not returning your phone call." So I think once getting that initial phone call going, that's the proper time to ask a budget. Actually, there was the other day, it was on Instagram. You don't refer to it as a budget. It was referring it to as like your,
An investment of some sort?
yeah, like project investment. I think that might have been it, or project source. I don't know. It was a better term than actually saying budget. Because when you say
Mm,
budget, it's a direct dollar figure.
right.
But by saying, what did you just say again?
Like your projected investment for this project of some
Yeah,
sort?
when you say projected investment, it doesn't sound like just dollars.
Right.
It sounds like an investment, which what it's truly what it is. So you're selling the investment, not just the price.
Mm,
So I think that's one thing I do have to change. Like, don't say budget, just a different word for it.
right.
Investment is probably the best word that you could use for it too.
So I did hear you touch on this when you're talking, and I asked this to everybody. You don't charge for consultations, and then why is that? I myself, I also don't charge for consultations, but just to give everybody like a little bit of context as to why you don't charge for consultations, and in the future, do you plan to or not to? What's your thought process on that?
I think it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Like everyone just sees us as oh the landscapers or the lawn care guy. Like there's no way that them guys should be charging $150 to come look at my projects for them. Like I'm trying to give them money, and they're trying to charge me to come out here. Well, I look at it as you're taking away from my family too. Like I'm using my truck, my fuel, my time to come do a proposal for you. I think there should, even if you don't get the job, at least your time is covered with that $150. You're not making anything. It's just your time is covered for that. So I think that would be the way to do it. But I haven't tested it yet. I haven't asked the client like, "Hey, we charge $150 for on-site consultations. Are you willing to pay that?" But I just think in our industry, it's not accepted yet. It needs to be. Like for an example, I just paid a company to come out and measure my wood burning stove for me, and they charged me $150. So they drove out here, they took some measurements, and they went back. And even as far as hardscaping or landscaping goes, you're spending way more time than just a simple measurement on a fireplace. So I've been to site consultations where I've been there for 4 or 5 hours going over everything on larger projects. I mean, this wasn't a little tiny one, but that time that I spent with that client, I got the job because I spent so much time there. But that time I still never got paid for, technically. I mean, it rewarded me with a job, but it didn't gain anything from that. So I feel like if we can band together as brothers, we all can do this and start charging at least $100, $150 to go to a site and take the measurements. I mean, most sites that I go to, I'm taking a U level, a transit. I mean, there's a lot of site work that needs done there. I mean, U levels ain't cheap. I mean, I think you're what, $900 now or something like that. A transit, anywhere from 1,000 to $5,000, depending which one you get. Taking down all the notes and then coming back and logging it. It's a lot of work. Um, but I do feel like the given the rough estimate over the phone does help people. And 90% of the time they'll be like, okay, yeah, come out. And then you occasionally get the like, well, that's way more than what we were thinking. Actually, prime examples, yesterday I got an email. The client wanted an outdoor living space and their budget was 7 to 10,000. So I politely responded. I was like, what size outdoor living space, just paver wise, are you talking about? And it was, I think it was like 35 by 17. And I responded back, just your pavers alone are going to cost you $7,000, plus the base material, plus the edge, the edge restraints, the sand. There's labor, there's lawn repair. I mean, you're going to be way over your budget. I never heard back from them. So that was actually good though, because that didn't waste my time and it also didn't waste theirs either. In most outdoor living projects, you're not getting much for 7 grand anymore. Like that's a couple pavers, maybe a tree.
Yeah. uh when it so at that initial consultation, and then getting into your design, I assume you do your own designs. When what kind of questions are you asking them to kind of understand what's going to go into that design, what kind of features, what kind of pavers, and so on and so forth, to be able to kind of bring what they are looking for or what they may need or want into an actual design for them to visualize.
I'm very good at upselling. So I always talk to the client. I'm like, okay, what are you going to use this space for? Like, do you want to put like an 8 person table out here, a 6 person? Do you just want like a pub style? Do you want to cook out here? Do you want a kitchen? What about lighting? Well, lighting is part of my upsell. So I'll sell them on everything else first. Like I ask them, what areas do you want? Do you want to have a fire pit area that's separate from your dining area, separate from your cooking area? So you create your inside of your house outside. So there's separate rooms, like you got the dining room, your living room, kitchen. So you create that back outside too. And that's my selling pitch for every client. Like you need to redo that on the exterior to feel like without having different physical walls, have different rooms with that. Which you can do with physical walls as well. You can throw some pillars in there. So like I always throw that in there and like fire pit areas, for example. Oh, we would love to have a fire pit area. Okay, well, how big do you want to do it? If we go at 18 feet, we can go ahead and put a freestanding wall behind it, and you got twice the amount of seating now. So that's a big selling pitch that you can upsell with. And then once you sell them on all that stuff, you can go ahead and hey, how are you going to see out here? Add some focal point lighting, some pathway lighting, even the recess lighting. It all changes the game with upselling projects like that. For example, we had a project last year. I think you actually shared it. It was the one with the big water feature, the fire pit. I mean, you probably see all this crazy stuff, but I was like, hey, what about? They wanted the Deep Creek, Maryland vibe. So Deep Creek's like a bunch of boulders. It's real rustic looking, woodsy cabin stuff. So I already sold the project, and I believe that project was like around 150 already. And we added a 32-foot pondless waterfall system, and it fit that vibe that they wanted. And it followed the steps the whole way down to the lower fire pit. So it was an upsell, and that specific client actually, we are doing one of their pool projects this year. So we had a return client. He didn't even call anybody else. He just hit me up. He was like, I think his direct text was like, "Yeah, we're getting a pool." And he sent me a bunch of pictures of like, should I get this one? Should I get that one? What color liner should I do? I'm like, listen, bud, I'm not going to live there. You're going to enjoy this, but I'll help you with everything design wise, like the colors and tones that you already have, and we'll get your pool to fit with all of that. So he's like, yep, sounds good. So I sent him a couple of options, what he wanted, and job sold. I didn't even meet with him.
Nice.
So it's nice having the repeat clients like that as well, but they trust me. I think that goes back to being that 21-year-old, like where you didn't have that trust, and now 20 years later, they all trust me.
How do you build trust with a client to be able to do these um, beautiful details that you do in your projects? And I'm just going through your Instagram right now, like the pool with the nice little inlay that flows towards the fire pit area and kind of disperses out. That takes a lot of trust for a client to kind of um, put that into a contractor's hands. How have you kind of built that trust over time with your clients to be able to kind of put your own creative flair on these projects?
That specific project that you're talking about is actually kind of funny that you brought that one up first. Um, that job was a nightmare, but not on our end. The pool company was bad, but the pool ended up being 15 inches above grade of where it should have been.
Oh no.
So my very first design I did for that guy, just throw it right out the window. Like it didn't matter. I came up with another one, but I came up with it rushed. I absolutely hated that design. And he loved it. I'm like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, well, that's good for you, but I don't have the passion in this right now to do this, like, and make it look good. So I remember texting him, and he was at work. I was like, can you please come home early today? And I need to talk to you about a couple things. So he thought like something like very bad happened. I'm like, no, no, no. I was like, we're good. Just I need to talk to you about the design. Like, I'm just not vibing it. So he got home, and I remember taking one of the coping units, turned it upside down, got my carpenter pencil out, and I drew it right there. And he was the dude that was not very visual. Like he couldn't see what I was seeing. So I was like, all right, let me go home. I'll redesign this for you. And I did this like 5 times already for this guy. Like the design, it kept changing. But it kept, I swear, it kept changing to the worse. Like it just kept going downhill. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I am not doing this project this way. So I showed him that design. And he goes, you can do that. I was like, yeah. I mean, all the cutting and the curves, it was terrible to do that. But the end result actually ended up getting us an award for that project.
Amazing.
So it was all worth it. And I kept telling myself that as I cut for like 4 or 5 days straight on that project. That that project is still one of my favorites. There's actually a lot on that project that you can't see on Instagram. Well, the aerial shots you can.
Yeah.
There's a gigantic retaining wall that's geogridded there too.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
By the
one.
hot tub area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing is monstrous.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at I'm assuming it's you leaning against the retaining wall with like a drone in the air. So that's kind of like adding scale to it to be able to
Yeah,
see like exactly how big that retaining wall is.
yeah, and I actually crashed my drone at that project.
Oh no.
I was trying to get real close to that water feature with a waterfall, and I was trying to like not fly real fast, but kind of a little more speed than normally. And I went to pull up. Instead, I pulled down.
Oh no.
It smashed right into it, and it sunk all the way to the bottom. I'm like, well,
Oh no.
there's a $2,000 drone.
Oh,
But I look at it too because that the award that we got for that, I'm like, I didn't even care that that drone got destroyed on that project. It was
worth it.
worth it. Yeah.
um, Michael, how do you create a proposal for your clients? Do you organize by work area? Do you just give a full lump sum? Do you break it down line item by line item and the price for it? How do you go about creating that proposal?
I do line items. Literally show them exactly everything that they're paying for. I don't break it down to like, okay, the fire pit area is going to be $6,000. The water feature is 9 grand. I don't break it down that way. Um, I feel like being upfront and honest with the pricing the whole way through, like being line item, that they're seeing where every single penny goes. I think that eases them into spending that type of amount of money. Um, I looked at it different ways before. I've also seen competition where they literally just company name, price of the project, and that is it. It doesn't say anything else. And anytime that I'm competing with a project like that, I'm getting the job too. You can't just write a dollar figure on a piece of paper and hand it to them. Like they have no idea what they're getting on it. But I feel like the line item's probably the best route that I've done. It's pretty tedious on set. Like there's a lot of time it takes to do line item proposals like that. But we're also not doing like $20,000 projects. So far, everything that I have this year is all six figures.
Wow.
So I think I have one that's like 55,000. I actually really like filling those proposals out because I can do them in probably half hour. The big ones, they do take some time. I think the one it was about 6 hours, 6, 7 hours to figure it all out. That sold that job though too. Like that specific client, he got to see where every single cent was going to, and the one that project specifically was supposed to be Ombriano, and Ombriano is no joke in price. And when I first gave him that proposal, he was like, "This is way too much than what I expected." I was like, "Well, you picked Ombriano." I was like, "What's puts you in the identical paver of that? Just doesn't have that finish." Well, there was Ombriano slabs. There's Ombriano Yucara. There was a couple other Ombriano like trim pieces and the boulder selection that I had on that project. I deducted all that out of there. I got him down by 45 grand, sold the project.
Wow.
And that one was, I think, around 250. So we were at 295. I got down to 250.
Wow.
That's a significant difference.
Definitely. um, Michael, I've already taken up a lot of your time, but I have questions that I definitely need to get to. So feel free to spend as little or as much time with these questions as you want to hear. Um, the first one being a horror story that you've experienced in business. Do you have a story that you'd want to share with our audience? Being that this is kind of something that you can maybe help with younger contractors just getting into business or people just starting out wanting to maybe understand things that can go wrong along the way in being a contractor, and maybe things that they can put in place to prevent these things. But Michael, any horror story in your time in business that you'd want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I hate talking about it, but it was probably, I think I was around 18 years old. Yeah, because I graduated and it was the first summer out on my own. I had one buddy of mine that we went to school with. He wasn't sure he was going to college. He ended up sticking around with me for that year. I bid a project that I had no right bidding. It was a gigantic retaining wall on a very, very sloped hillside. There was probably like 45 trees that needed to come down. There's a bluestone patio, steps going down, landscaping, land. I totally tanked the bid on that. I did not have a signed contract. It was just like, okay, here's your price. Let's do this. And when I was 18, like that, I think I quoted him at like 21 grand. And it should have been $100,000 project. I think I ended up getting paid like 52,000. So I barely covered material cost. I paid my worker, and I think I might have walked away with like 2,000 bucks.
Ouch.
And we were there for like 3 months.
Ouch.
So I would advice to any contractor right now is know your numbers. Like you have to do the time to figure everything out. Like a lot of the jobs are hard to estimate a total man hour project. So you have to do your time with it. Like, okay, even you break it down into 20 projects, like, okay, the base prep's going to take me 3 days. Screeding the paver layer, like that's going to take me a day. Laying the paver is going to take me 4 days. Landscape's going to take me 6 days. The final grade's going to take me another 3 days. Do the leg work to that. I am always incorporate change orders now. We have a lot of jobs that once we get rolling with it, where we see something that could look a little cooler. And back on that project, I just did it. I didn't charge anymore for it. And a lot of my jobs, I would say in the past 5 years of my business really taken off. The other 20, I kind of just sucked at it. But those 20 years previously, like I learned a lot in it. Like if someone changed, like, oh, we need more gravel, I just ate it. So do that change order, make sure you get paid, or you're not going to be around. And that's one of the things that I learned. Like back then, I was doing real good, and but I couldn't pay anything. Like I couldn't gain, I couldn't get better machines or anything like that. So the struggle was real, and being able to get to the top and then falling all the way back to the bottom, and then still getting back up and getting back to the top again. I would say that would be my worst horror story is living those growing pains. And if you can avoid that, please do. It was hell for a while.
Know your numbers and get those change orders.
Yes.
Great advice there. I ask this to everybody, and I just kind of let them go wherever they want with this. But are there any tools, equipment, products that you live by in your business that you love, that you couldn't live without? You've already touched on the Unilift there. You go deeper into that, but basically anything in terms of installation methods, tools, equipment, product that you live by in your business.
Well, the uni lift we didn't get to use yet. I literally just trailered home on Thursday. But I've seen it demoed. I've seen other guys. I actually went to one of the local guys' shop and I demoed it there. Um, I definitely see that being a game changer. I would say my favorite tool in my arsenal would be my DeWalt cordless saw, the 9-inch saw. Um, I can cut anything with that. I mean, you scroll through our Instagram, and you can tell that I like circles. You can cut anything with that thing. It's definitely a go-to tool. The skid loader is definitely a must, whether it be a mini skid, some type of form. You have to have a skid loader to do any hardscape. I've gotten by without an excavator before, but the excavator is also a game changer. Even if it's just a small one, it doesn't matter what size it is. If it can do things that eliminates you from using a shovel and preventing your guys from doing all that manual labor, get it. Um, Another big tool is an enclosed trailer. You would waste so much time every single day unloading and reloading tools the morning and the afternoon. That enclosed trailer, it stays on site, lock it up. All your tools are in there. There's no more, oh man, I forgot this at the shop. I have to run back and get it. Like there's none of that. It's trailers are expensive. Like I think our trailer was around 15 grand, and then all the tools we have inside of it, it's insane what tools you can put in there. But there's no excuse to not have a tool. It's in there. I'd say that's the benefit. Um, and as far as a company, I love Unilock. Our rep is phenomenal. I call him, he'll be there in an hour. And if he's wrapped up somewhere up at a different, like he's always upstate college a good bit too. He's like, I can come by tomorrow. So the customer service on that end, I don't know. Unilock's my go-to. It's the easiest to sell. The customer support. I know all them guys. Like I know the guys in Ohio. Bob, Bo, you got Ian. I think there's Mark. I mean, there's a ton of them. Glenn, and there's all them guys know me personally too. So going to the awards, going to events, like, oh hey, how you going? How's it doing? We actually went to a Penguin game a couple years ago. So
Nice.
being able to have that, it's more like family oriented. Like Ian, my rep, he'll hit me up like, hey, how's the baby? Like it's kind of cool to ask questions like that. Actually, he's in Buffalo today and yesterday. He sent me a picture of whiskey, like them being in Buffalo, New York. I'm a big whiskey connoisseur. So he sent me a picture. I'm like, man, I was like, how come we didn't have that at our seminar here? So it's just a vibe you get from Unilock. I mean, they're an awesome company. They're great to deal with, and they keep coming out with new products. I know I mentioned Ucar a ton of times too. Their modular system is absolutely insane. That current project that we're on, we had the whole thing built, minus the footer, in 8 hours. All the cuts, everything put in there. that's insane. If we build it out a block, that's a 4 or 5 day project. Getting just cutting all that stuff in, and the modular system is the way to go. Like it's so simple.
People that you look to for inspiration or have helped you along the way in some point in time in your business here that you want to give a shout out to, whether that's online, offline, but anybody you want to give a shout out for inspiration or have helped you along the way at some point in time in your business.
I actually have to say you're one of them.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
you post all the cool jobs, so like you're basically doing all the legwork for me, then seeing what's cool and what's new and exciting out there. So seeing the projects that you like and what the trends are, so that's an inspiration to keep following with that. There's a couple guys out there that we've been wanting to do collaborations with for a while. Um, Gary Hobel, Country View Landscaping. Uh, I always mess this guy's the company name Transformigrations.
Oh
I can
yeah.
never say that right. That's Kevin. There's a ton. Like my supplier, All Green Outdoor Living. Um, I'm just going through my messages on my Instagram to do this. Um, Preston Outdoor Designs. I love his work. It's the incorporation of the natural stone with man-made products. I mean, he's just out of this world designs that are insane. Um, Crux Leon, he does some pretty cool stuff. Who else is there? Outdoor Living Life out of Ohio. I met him a couple times at the award ceremonies. Lee Bleacher, he used to, I think it was called Bleacher Hardscapes, but he's now a bold
Oh yeah.
salesman for the lighting. He's pretty cool. Site One Larry, Site One, works for Site One. He's been to a couple of the Unilock Award ceremonies. I've bought stone off of him. Kelscape out in California. So that's the whole other side of the country for me. I mean, I could go on and on and on about this. There's a ton of dudes. I'm just scrolling through all this. I mean, there's well, who else we got? We got Thunderbird Pittsburgh, Authority Lawn and Landscape. They do more lawn like grass cutting and stuff like that, but we talk here and there. Um, yeah, there's a ton.
It's tough because once you start naming one, you got to name them all.
Yeah, and I feel Mike Dowds from Dowds Land Hardscaping. He's the one that did the uni lift demo with me.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think who else is there. Well, Blue Fox Landscape and Design is who I worked for my internship.
Okay.
They're still going strong. Trying to think. There, there's a new up and coming guys that I like. I met at the award ceremony. It's called J-Scapes. There's like 7 of them. They're all like 21 years old, and they got nominated for one of the awards. And I'm like, you guys are 21 and you're pumping out that kind of work. So it's cool to see the younger generation being able to keep up with the us older guys. I mean, I seriously could keep going on and on and on about it.
That's good there. I want to ask you now. Uh, we kind of touched on it, especially with like employees. And feel free to talk more about employees, but really quick, as much or as little as you want to talk about this, a struggle that you're having right now in your business.
Employees.
I think we've kind of touched on that quite a bit there.
I think it's. I look at my crew as more as family than just my workers. Actually, I've taken my guys on fishing charters up Lake Erie. I've taken them on fishing trips. The award ceremony, like we went up there early. We toured the city. We did all this stuff together. They've actually my guys have helped me with my house, like remodeling and stuff like that. Being more of a family, like I care about you, like I care about the things that you have. Like for another example too, like my guys, they love food. I mean, who doesn't love food? So 2 years ago, I bought them I think a Pit Boss grill, one of them pellet fed grills. That was their Christmas gift that year. And the reason why I bought that for them is I knew that they wouldn't buy that with their own money. So I wanted them to have something that was a luxury to them. And then, for example, this past year too, I bought them 70-inch flat screen TVs. So you're not just my worker, you're a friend, you're part of the family now. So I think that in the real world of finding an employee like that and reciprocates that back to you is very hard. Like they just think it's a job. I'm just going to stand here and get paid. And then skill set. Like everybody wants paid to do the least amount possible. They don't want to learn. And I told my guys all the time, the more that you learn, the more you get paid. And that's the most simplest slogan ever. But it's like no one listens to that. Like you're not evolving as an employee, as a family member. So like I can't give you more money then. So if you can show me that you can do more, you get paid more. And I think that's the way the world, the economy, everything is right now. Like it's entitlement. Like everyone just thinks that they're entitled to make X amount of dollars, and different professions are different pay as well. So, like concrete, for an example, like you can get paid $30 to $40 an hour for that. The hardscape industry, depending on how much you know, if you can run a site, I mean, you can make $55 an hour if you can do a whole project all by yourself. But no one will take that initiative to gain that knowledge to do that or want to do it. They're like, oh, well, he's just going to babysit me all day and I'll just follow the lead and I'll just get paid still. So taking that an extra step to get there, to get that money that you deserve, take that step. No one wants that leap. I remember even when I was still like I was younger, I was scared shitless basically on proposals. Like, oh, like here's I give someone a number, and I'm like already thinking that's wait, not it's not enough. I just shorted myself. It's the same way as an employee goes. Don't short yourself, show your full potential. Instead of bouncing around from job to job to job, put in the work, put in the effort, and you get paid more. And then like most guys too that carry a skill set, they're out doing their own thing, or they're back at some multi-million-dollar company where they're getting everything. So it's tough to find someone like that that's willing to stick it out with you and grow with you. Trying to think what else. What was the rest of the question?
Oh, just a struggle.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is like Sheets. You can go to Sheets and get paid $15 an hour right now, and you can get benefits too. So I don't want to say smaller company, but that's a brainless job. Like you just stand there at a cash register. So it's hard to compete with that. Like if you're just trying to get a general labor for $20 an hour, it ain't happening because they'll be like, I'm just going to go to Sheets for 15. So it's the labor field right now is just terrible, and no one wants to work.
Final question for you here, Michael, to close things out. What's one thing you know now you wish you knew from the very beginning? Whether that's personal related, business related, any way you want to take this, but what's that one thing you know now you wish you knew from the very beginning?
Well, that's a tough one. I definitely had a lot of life lessons I've learned, and I've grown from it too. Um, oh boy, I don't know. I mean, I can go all over the places, but I'd have to say, don't be scared to invest in yourself, whether that be equipment. I mean, for the longest time, I didn't want to buy a skid loader. I was like, I can't afford $20,000 to $40,000 piece of machine. Well, being scared of that made me, it took longer for projects, and then I didn't make any money. By having the proper tools, I can get paid faster, more, I could do more work. So I would say if there's something that like if you're teetering about doing, just take that leap. Like you'll figure it out. Like it's going to make your life a lot easier. Um, that's definitely more on the business side of it. But I mean, just in general in life too. Like if someone's out there, they're like, oh, I'm working for something, I'm not real happy with it. Take that leap and do your own thing. Like if you have the resources to do it and you're that good, your skill set itself will take you that extra step.
Michael, it's been a pleasure to be able to talk to you for more than an hour now, more than I promised to hold you up for. I won't take up any more of your time here. Where can our audience go find out more about you, see your beautiful work? Where do you want to send them to?
Well, my name is Michael Kensek. I am Kensek Landscape Specialist out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We specialize in outdoor living. We love doing crazy stuff. We also have an Instagram page, Facebook page, TikTok page. We have a website.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Check out Michael at Kensek Landscape Specialist. That's Kensek Landscape Specialist on Instagram. And if you're on your phone right now and you have a minute, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review. If you're listening on Spotify, it's a couple of clicks to give a 5-star rating. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it's a couple of clicks, and then you can also add a written review, and I would very much appreciate that if you have the time to do so right now. And we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. And if you're also looking for that software to help you streamline processes in your business, the How to Hardscape headquarters might be that software for you. Shoot me a message at How to Hardscape on Instagram or members.howtohardscape.com, and you can book a demo right on that website there, as well as learn more about the software. And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.